Okay, this is the very last shot. The last time I'm gonna try this. I've known the problem. This little thing over here slips. It literally knocks the keyboard into like a stasis mode, which freezes the entire system. Good grief. Okay, let me share this. I apologize. I mean, I really do. This. If I were back in radio at this point, I would absolutely throw a fit, demand my producer be fired, call the station manager and say, I'm not coming back until you fix your crap. But it's now my crap. So everything is great. It's all hunky-dory. We are going to do a live Pittsburgh Penguins chat. I have turned off the keyboard so that nothing freezes. It's all going to be just hunky-dory. Okay. And let me share it to the Pittsburgh Hockey Now Twitter. We are going to talk about Evan Rodrigues, I promise. We are going to talk about Evgeny Malkin. We're going to talk about Sidney Crosby and Jake Gensel. We're going to talk about maybe what you saw a little bit of in the San Jose game. And we're going to talk about just how good these Pittsburgh Penguins can, in fact, be. Also, this, let me go this way, is also a meeting of the Little Lebowski Urban Achievers today. So we thank you all for... Oh, there we go. Now the mic stand came undone. Oh, my. Oh, boy. Okay, let me dial into the YouTube thing here, see if anybody actually followed us. You'd have to be nuts to try this 3 times with me. Oy vey. Okay, so I see the numbers coming back. I appreciate y'all for being crazier than I am to go through this with me. Let's start. By the way, sound is good. Everything is copacetic. Let me know. Okay, so Little Lebowski Urban Achievers. Evan Rodrigues, Evgeny Malkin. How good can the Penguins be? Plus your comments. That's the live chat today. Yeah, I laugh because otherwise I just want to throw things. So let's dive into it, and let's start over here. Here's where my pictures. Oh, see, I'm getting old. Some things I need my glasses to see. Other things I can't see with my glasses. Where's all my pictures? Where's all the cool pictures? Here we go. Let's start here. What a picture, huh? Credit to the AP Newswire and our subscription there. Evan Rodrigues, Brian Rust, there's Sidney Crosby in the background, Chris Letang. Letang had 3 points. That might be the quietest 3 points Chris Letang has ever had. There was a bunch of official scoring changes after the game. I hate when they do that because I've already written the story, right? It's banged, it's out, it's, you've already read it, 1,000 people go, consume it. And by the time those people have moved on to something else, then scoring changes come. I got burned. I think Rodrigues had an assist taken away, 3 weeks ago now. Kind of the last set of home games. Let me tighten that up there. So, to Evan Rodrigues, where do you think Evan Rodrigues fits into the Penguins lineup? Because here is a guy who has actually produced on an increasing scale. Look, early in the season, I was not crazy about Evan Rodrigues, second-line center, third-line center. I was, look, he wasn't the same player in the first couple of weeks of the season, at least at center. He was holding a place. He wasn't asserting himself. He was still good enough. I mean, he wasn't out there embarrassing himself by any means, but certainly not the assertive shoot and shoot and more shot kind of center that he's become. And so you've got that aspect. You can put him at center. You could put him at third line center, and he's probably not better than Jeff Carter. Maybe a little bit. Whoever's hot would be the better center there. You can put him on the right wing where he's scored goals beside Sidney Crosby, beside Jeff Carter, beside every other center they've put him with as well. You can put him at left wing where he's scored goals beside Sidney Crosby, beside Jeff Carter, and wherever else they've put him. So Mike Sullivan actually could really get caught analysis or paralysis by analysis with Evan Rodrigues, because you can literally put him anywhere in the lineup. I don't think I'd put him in the fourth line because he's far too good for that. The confidence. Let me tell you, you of course saw the goal that his first goal a minute into the game on Sunday. Dances over the defenseman's stick, jumps into the slot, but doesn't shoot it right away. He holds it, that extra heartbeat that pulls everybody just a hair out of position, and then he just roofs a top shelfer from 20 feet, and you're like, holy cow. At least that was my reaction with his goal. That might have been the prettiest one he's scored all year. Of course, the second one was pretty good too. He gets the puck on the doorstep, has enough wherewithal to do the little backhand deke and slip it through. And, just for good measure, he scored from, across the hall from Ovechkin's office. I would not have bet on this kind of Evan Rodrigues. I don't think anybody has. If you were watching Mike Sullivan, or if you read the PHN Plus. In fact, I should get the you know what? You all have followed me this far. If you're not a PHN Plus subscriber, let me get, where's that coupon code? I'm going to give you a coupon code for 50% off PHN Plus. I appreciate, we had almost a dozen people get that code from us last night. And I'm like, you know what? I lose money, but so what? I'm happy to continue growing the brand. And I don't really lose money out of my pocket so much as I make half as much money. And some butt pimple just has to be like, people actually read your crap? And I'm like, well, yeah, only a few 100,000 unique people a month. Only the most read hockey writer in Pittsburgh. I mean, yeah, people read my crap. I mean, that's if you take out, obviously the Post-Gazette kicks my butt because they've got a few 100,000 or million, I don't know, actual paper subscribers. I can't compete with that, but put me on the online marketplace, kids, and you have elevated me to one of the most read people in the city. Thank you. Here's the coupon code. Somewhere. Oh, the coupon code is Hat Trick. That's what, okay. So, use the coupon code Hat Trick. And here, you can go here to subscribe. That's what I was trying to do. Okay, use code Hat Trick. Done. Yeah, there was a bit of a goal flex. I see J-Plan 72. Did you see his celebration after the first goal? He's like, yeah, come on. He's feeling it, no question. It's my favorite story of the Penguins season. Second would be Tristan Jarry, who I've really enjoyed watching him play goal. But first would be this emergence of Evan Rodrigues. In fact, I was talking with a couple of the writers last night. I'm not going to name drop them or sully their name by that they actually associate with me. But we were talking how much fun it's been to write about. Like any chance we get, Evan Rodrigues, because it is such an interesting and different story. I mean, you hate to say it, we've taken Sidney Crosby for granted, but he's been so good for so long. He's kind of like the Ramones. You just sometimes forget how great because they just toured 350 days a year. They never gave people a chance to miss them, until they were gone. And that's kind of the point with Sidney Crosby. He's just the gold standard every night. So when a kid like Evan Rodrigues comes, we're all like, we're all falling over ourselves as fresh fish. But let's maybe not forget about Sidney Crosby. Anyway, okay. So did I already show you? Was that the last? The Dude Abides? Yeah. Okay, I already did show you the T-shirt. This is the third stream, so I forget what I've done. Made sure I deleted the other two because I saw people like clicking on them already. Okay, so where do you think Evan Rodrigues winds? I want to see your comments on there. And let's see here. Okay, yeah, Medina says tough decisions, yeah. Fe says, how many Fays are there? Fay. Zucker needs to go. I've had it with him. Well, he didn't play yesterday. I get that frustration, though, with Zucker. And I think he is, too. I think he's frustrated. I know he has to be. Because what did he say about his in training camp? He's like first or second day, they trot him into that little media room we were all hiding in while they had like a bit of a USHL tournament. And I forget, it was one of two words he used to describe last year. It was awful or it sucked. One of the two. And there was no sugarcoating it. He genuinely, was venting a little bit of frustration on it. This year has to be the same thing. He sees Rodrigues popping in goals. He sees Jake Gensel go on a 13-game scoring streak, and he sees Crosby get hot, and he sees Drew O'Connor kind of emerging. And you have to see all these, the depth of the Penguins lineup improving, and his numbers are in fact flagging, but he makes $5.5 million. You don't really trade a $5.5 million guy who has 11 points in 28, 29 games. You don't really get to trade them unless you accept a bad contract in return. And the Penguins don't really have any money to do that. They're going to have some very interesting decisions here coming very soon with Evgeny Malkin coming back. If the Penguins pare down their roster to the barest essentials, the Penguins are going to have about $200,000. That's it, of salary cap space. Now, that was using the Puckpedia GM salary cap calculator and the roster converter, and I was playing around with it just to see what we could do. And really the best I could get them was to about $279,000 on that Puckpedia calculator. I mean, now if that was wrong, take it with a grain of salt, but I'm pretty sure it's accurate. So the Penguins have decisions to make there. They certainly do not need to have Jason Zucker in the lineup, do they? If you slot Evan Rodrigues on that in the top six left wing, and you put, not Zach Aston Reese, that would be, who would they put on left wing, third line? Drew O'Connor? With Jeff Carter and Danton Heinen? It would certainly fit, wouldn't it? Keeping your fourth line together of Aston Reese, Teddy Bluger in the middle, and Brock McGinn on the right side. I had to look over at last chat we did. I did the whiteboard. Erod and Cappy with Gino. See who sticks. Yeah, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? It'd be an interesting line. Although I'm not sure I like the chemistry of it. I think I'd rather see Gensel, Malkin, Kapanen, Rodrigues, Crosby, Rust. How's that? I think I like that top six a little better. I think Rodrigues is going to play a little better with Crosby than he will with Malkin because Rodrigues has become a shooter. And by subduing his playmaking abilities, I think he's a better shooter, actually. I mean, his entire career he's played beside, Jack Eichel and been a playmaker for him or whomever he was playing beside. Now that he's become a shooter, boy, that's an interesting dynamic, isn't it? I think I've broken down Evan Rodrigues' game for you before. It really is all of the good parts of Dominic Simone's game, plus a step, plus a harder shot, plus more finishing ability. I mean, it's those little things, those little plays off the wall. It's kind of being a step ahead of the play, getting to that open spot, being where the puck is going to be, not where it is, all of the Wayne Gretzky stuff. You see Rodrigues doing that, and I think most importantly with E-Rod, which is, by the way, Jim Colony and I have trademarked that. You can't use it. He's having a blast. I mean, he is just enjoying this breakout like you wouldn't believe. And on the ice, he believes he can do it. And that's worth, that makes you a foot taller and bulletproof. So there's our little Evan Rodrigues portion of the Pittsburgh Hockey Now live chat. I do appreciate everyone jumping over. So who do we... which way do you want to go now? Areas to improve? Evgeny Malkin? Or how good can the Penguins be? I guess I've kind of forgot. Let me get down here. You know what? Let's maybe talk about this guy for a second. That's a bit of that's last year's picture of Casey DeSmith. Now, if it were 4-2 and DeSmith misplays that puck off the back wall to start the third period, there would have been hell to pay. But I think everybody just kind of, it's only 6-3. San Jose is never going to come back. Whoopsie. I can't say, except for Logan Couture, who was left alone in front, there were some stoppable goals. Now, DeSmith does get a little bit of a pass because he, like everyone else, did not play for a few weeks. But that's kind of a backup goalie's job, isn't it? To be ready after 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And he's been the guy in practice for a couple or a few days since Tristan Jarry went into COVID protocol. So that was a down performance from DeSmith, who's had more down performances, far more down performances, than he's had up performances this season. And that, I think, look, everything cost money. Oh, upgrade DeSmith. Cost money. So I don't know quite what the Penguins can do there. If Tristan Jarry remains in protocol, and he's kind of day-to-day, because he had some mild symptoms, so you have to stay away. How interesting would it be for Louis Domingue to get a start? I've been kind of rooting for it, no question about it. I'll admit my rooting interest to you that Domingue, because of how passionately he spoke in training camp about finding his motivation and getting back into the game, and how the last few years have kind of kicked it out of him, traveling around, living in a suitcase, AHL, NHL, practice squad, being isolated from the team, kind of hitting the ice with a few guys after practice, and, you're in the hotel, but you're not allowed to go talk to anybody else, really kind of being on an island. And a goalie's an island anyway, but being an island unto an island really kind of sapped him, and his game fell apart, is what he said. So I've been rooting for him to get into an NHL game. Maybe the Penguins' next game on Wednesday is where we see that. If Jarry is not yet cleared. Wouldn't that make things just a wee bit interesting? Of course, I root for great stories. The coaches are trying to win the next game. The odds that that happens, slim, slim and none, and slim left town. Okay, so that's a little bit of DeSmith. Although I do kind of feel you, though. For those, everyone's kind of like, well, they should upgrade. Craig Patrick always seemed to have a knack for upgrading their goalies at the right time. And he just kind of, there's what that guy who traded a pencil eraser for a Ferrari, just kept going step by step. That was kind of Craig Patrick way back in the day. For those of you who aren't old enough to remember the building of the Penguins through the 80s and into the 90s, he started with really nothing in goal. His name was Pat Riggins. And before long, just kind of kept going up and up and up. And before long, he had Tom Barrasso. So that was how Craig Patrick did it. I forget my point on that. So let's. Oh boy. So how good can the Pittsburgh Penguins be? And I think that I'm sorry. There's more chats I didn't see. I had to scroll down. Greetings from Finland, Patrick Heikkinen. Hello, Patrick. Odds on Gino playing a more responsible game and not taking foolish penalties when he returns. Jarrett, that's one of those. It's one of those things that the label has been affixed to Malkin for so long that I think perception is reality regardless of reality. I thought Malkin last couple seasons. I mean, look, he had a terrible start to last season. But don't forget, 2019, 2020, going into the pandemic before the world ended and changed maybe forever, Malkin had 74 points in 55 games. He was absolutely on fire. There weren't bad penalties, and he was just playing brilliantly for most of that season, if you'll recall. So I don't know that that's reality anymore. Bad penalties and turnovers. You're always going to have that because he handles the puck so much. You always have to kind of factor that proportionality into it, and also the degree of difficulty. Some of the stuff he's doing, mortals don't attempt, and if it fails, you're going to have a turnover. But you play that game because when it succeeds, the puck is in the back of the net. He is not more risk than reward. He's more reward. So don't get too affixed to that. Also, don't forget, he and Kapanen were on an absolute tear until Malkin hurt his knee last season. Kapanen had 14 and 14. I think Malkin had 16 or 17 points. Maybe 18 in that same time period. They were just absolutely rolling through everybody. Okay. Let's see here. Jackson, is it Jackson Hollister? Yeah. Okay, you're talking to Jarrett. Okay. I'll let you guys chat there. They already canceled games for Saturday. Doesn't matter. Season's over. What games are you talking about, Mike? Pens need a 5th or 6th right D-man. Where would they find the cap room to get help on their blue line? Very good question, Eric. I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. I hate using these old mustard jersey pictures, but that's the closest one I have of Chris Letang. Here, maybe we'll do that. When push comes to shove, the Chicago Blackhawks won the 2010 or 12 Stanley Cup with 4 defensemen. Their 5th and 6th defenseman, the third pairing, was playing less than 10 minutes a game. That was Michael Roosevelt, wasn't it? Who was playing minutes, just like singular minutes per game. Roosevelt was Roosevelt on the top? This is 10 years ago. Anyway, John Marino, I thought, had a pretty good game, pretty good first period. against San Jose. You saw him dangle in the third period, kind of find some open space, push the issue. That's an important part of John Marino's game. I think he can really add a bit more to it. Get back to that rookie steadiness and then add that next layer of offense. I think he's kind of gotten the recipe wrong a few times. Tried to add offense, lost the steadiness or whatever it might be. He's gone sideways a little bit the last couple years, up and down. I think he needs to get his footing back. He played pretty well on Sunday. But where can they find the money? They would have to find a taker. I mean, they really would have to move Jason Zucker and not accept any salary back, and then deal someone else to acquire that defenseman, unless they can find a right-handed defenseman in the same price range as Zucker that the other team doesn't want. Somebody, National Hockey Now is responding to me? Well, that's weird. Someone is on his National Hockey. How in the world? Who are you and how are you doing this? I think it's Dater saying Avs all the way. I think Dater joined me. Yeah, Dater, I'll show you how to do a little studio like this. Okay, I heard Jari was back at practice today. Well, the Penguins had an off day, so I don't think so, Tim. If the Penguins had practice, I missed it, which would be a bad thing for me to have done. Of course, I'm the boss. I'm not going to fire myself, but no. Jari is day to day. Okay. Ukraine says hello. Hello, Ukraine. Man, that's pretty cool. Thanks. We got Finland and Ukraine checking in. McGinn is about as exciting to watch as anybody not named Erod. Does he make Zucker trade bait? No, McGinn does not push Zucker out of the deal. First of all, McGinn primarily on the right wing, Zucker on the left, and McGinn is a bottom six guy. You know, you don't want to put him in that top six role. Obviously, you still hold out hope that Zucker is a top sixer because that's what he's being paid like. That's what the Penguins, in terms of asset allocation, gave up for him. Number one pick, top defenseman prospect, Kalen Addison. That's what it took to get him from Billy Guerin out of Minnesota. So you don't, McGinn isn't the guy. Erod, Evan Rodrigues is the guy that makes Zucker expendable. Brad wants to know, how did Kasper Bjorkquist play? You know what? He got the goal. He was at the front of the net. He did his jobs yesterday. It's a little bit difficult to break down one player's game. Look, it's 6-1. And the team is just pouring it on. I thought the fourth line had some good shifts. There was no question that they played in the offensive zone like everybody else. The Penguins just put the puck in the offensive zone and really kept it there, at least for the entirety of the first period. Everybody took the second period off and the first part of the third period. So how do we break down? Listen, this goes for everybody. First game back, first game up, there's always that rush of adrenaline. Guys are playing out of their skates. At least, guys who accept and embrace the opportunity and the challenge. They're playing out of their skates. It's that, in fact, 2 years ago, recall P.O. Joseph doing the same. It's that 4, 5, 6, 7 games later when the adrenaline subsides and you kind of recede into the player that you are. That's when you really get a gauge of whether a player fits in the NHL or not. Bjorkquist, let's not oversell him. Some of the Penguins blogosphere have been beating his drum really, I think, unfairly. He's one of the great Penguins prospects. Well, I mean, in 17 games with Wilkes-Barre Scranton, he had 3 points. Let's not kid ourselves that he's a 20-goal scorer or even a 15-goal guy. I mean, 3 points in 17 AHL games kind of gives you an idea. And Mike Sullivan's comments were very specific that he's a penalty killer, he's a grinder, he's a defensively. When a coach says he's a defensively responsible player, that means he doesn't provide much offense. Okay? And that's what he said about Bjorkquist, defensively responsible and does all those things. So Bjorkquist is probably right in line with Anthony Angelo. Maybe a little harder to play against. We'll see. He is a little quicker than he was. I mean, Bjorkquist, my initial scouting reports on him from a couple years ago in the training camps were not really good. In fact, I really, when you get up close and you watch them in the context of NHL players or NHL wannabes, Hollander and Bjorkquist didn't have that good gait and that good step off the puck or off the circle to get to the puck. So I'd kind of downgraded them. Bjorkquist is playing a lot quicker. That was certainly clear yesterday. Let's see what happens, though, when the adrenaline goes. Let's see here. Ruedel contributes to the league best PK, knows and fits the Penguins system, says LT, and has helped steady Matheson. The pairing is excellent advanced stats. Maybe we don't need to upgrade third D. I mean, they've won 8 in a row. It's hard to argue that, isn't it? Yeah, look, Ruedel brings what's the right word? He doesn't make any mistakes. A reliability. That's maybe the word I'm looking for. Ruedel brings a reliability to that third pairing. He doesn't provide any offense. He doesn't clear the net. There's nothing that he does that is special or unique or, like Mike Sullivan's words were, he's at his best when you don't notice him. That really, he meant that as a compliment, kind of, I think. Yeah, so, no. Look, if the Penguins don't get a chance to upgrade the third pairing defense, it's not the end of the world. And I think that's a credit to Chad Ruedel. Let's see here. Oh, the fan reported Jari practiced this morning. Okay. Wow, wonder how they knew that. That's pretty cool. Thoughts on Zucker for Mike Hoffman? 1-for-1. Sure. No, it's not going to happen. What are my thoughts on the lineups when everyone is healthy, Devin wants to know. Well, Devin, we did this last time. In fact, I've still got the whiteboard. Uno momento. Okay. So you don't have to look at me. Except I can't see the screen. All right, so there's the lineups, I think, when everyone's healthy. Although I do have Rodrigues with Malkin. I think that's what Sullivan will do. I don't necessarily think that's what I would do. I think I would put Rodrigues with Crosby and Gensel with Malkin. But that's probably a can't-lose scenario, right? Can't lose. We'll put that down here. You can see there was a lot of things written on that whiteboard that in the infancy of building PHN sat on that whiteboard for a couple of years. I would literally stare at it every single day. Every day. Probably kind of like those guys do. Staring at their lineup and going, what can we do to make this a better team? And to that end, let's talk about just how good can this Pittsburgh Penguins team be? Are you starting to believe yet? Like, are you kind of coming around, getting a little bit excited about this team? Or are you still in that gray matter, skepticism, skeptical, pessimistic mode that I think we all had a little bit of skepticism and pessimism about this team in the summer? Because, I mean, look, who was Danton Heinen? Who's Brock McGinn? You know, he's a poor man's Brandon Tanev, right? Chad Ruhwedel's your third defenseman. Jari is coming off a playoff meltdown. You know, there were a lot of question marks and uncertainties, and that's being kind. There were a lot of reasons or ways that, to criticize the roster construction. But it really looks like Hextall hit. Hextall hit on his moves. I mean, he hit on Jeff Carter. He hit on Danton Heinen. He hit on Brock McGinn. I think that's about all that he did. Of course, sometimes the best moves you make are the ones you don't make. So I think he probably hit on those too, although you're never quite sure what moves a GM didn't make. We do know that they were shopping around this summer for a veteran goalie. I know Brian Burke on 93.7 The Fan kind of downplayed that, but it was internally discussed to the point of interest. I think I'm comfortable going that far. But when they saw that Freddie Anderson, went to Carolina and how much he was going to command, I think the market got out of whack very quickly, and they saw it coming and just pulled back and got out of that fray before they got invested in it and made a mistake. And what a range of general managers, from Jim Rutherford, who would probably lead the market into making mistakes, to Ron Hextall, who leads the market out of making mistakes. I don't think you could probably get two more guys on the opposite ends of the GM spectrum in terms of impetuousness or aggressiveness. A little bit of shoot from the hip versus hold your fire. Let's see here. I want to see what happens when Malkin comes back before I go full bore buy-in. That's fair. I have to realize I've been watching Malkin play hockey now for a few weeks. I've been getting to watch him at practice, pulling those vintage Malkin moves where he pulls the puck into his skates, kicks it to his forehand, goes around the defenseman, and the defenseman is just helpless with that move. And Malkin does it with just such ease. It's funny. So Malkin probably isn't at full steam just yet. This would be the week that he really ramps it up and goes hard after it in practice. I think he's been probably 80, 90%. He's been playing hard, don't get me wrong, but he's not flying into the corners. He's not he's had a few moments, but he's not galloping with the puck. And that Malkin gallop, right, where he's upright and his feet are, kind of coming off the ground, and the entire place, everyone's eyes just go to Malkin, including, the five defenders. You know those moments, don't you? Those, we'll have to see this week if he gets that gallop and the timing, gets his shots. I haven't seen him shoot the puck too much. I haven't seen him, even in the power play drills, I haven't seen him just rear back and let rip. I guess I should tell you what, because I raised the question on Pittsburgh Hockey Now this morning using this here picture. And the question is, just how good can these Pittsburgh Penguins be? I don't want to overpromise because I missed last year. I think back to 2016 when I was under siege from the blogosphere. Never really understood why I came into such contact with them, but I certainly didn't back down either. They knew more than me, right? I was the dumb guy in the room. I've only worked in hockey 20 years. What did I know that the bloggers didn't? So it was January 1st, 2016 that I said the Penguins were a very special team and there was something silver brewing. Obviously, you know how that wound up. So I kind of feel like January 1st is a line of demarcation, at least in a full season. Last year didn't really count, although they believed last year too. The Penguins, no question, believed they were a Stanley Cup contender until the Islanders nipped them in the first round. And the devastation that was in that locker room and with that team is hard to describe. It was a feeling around the team that, and obviously I wasn't in the locker room as in years past, but just in talking to people and, people around the team or, folks who will talk to us, there was that same kind of feeling that they had in 2013 when the hopes were sky high and the Bruins just knocked the snot out of them. Back then, it was disappointment and shock. But last year, it was just unbridled disappointment because I think they knew they let one get away. They outplayed the Islanders. They just let one get away. In part because of personnel. Casey DeSmith wasn't around to go to as Tristan Jarry was struggling. And Maxim Legace, they weren't going to put him in the game. So that's how that went. Let me mark it down. Monday, January 3rd. The Pittsburgh Penguins will be Stanley Cup contenders. I can't promise you how anything turns out. I can promise you there is a little bit of a special ring. It carried over into this year. It might be a last ride sort of ring. It might be the guys, kind of the scene in Major League when Tom Berenger stands up and says, well, then let's win it all. It might be one of those situations because the Penguins and Letang are a bit far apart on a contract, at least term, according to Pierre LeBrun. We know that Brian Rust didn't find any common ground with the team on his contract negotiations. Of course, Malkin may have quelled any worries about him re-signing when he said, I'm like a pretty rich guy. So I guess Malkin's going to stick around. But the Penguins might have to say goodbye to one or two of those championship core pieces. And maybe, just maybe, that little bit of motivation combined with this incredible chemistry that they have. I mean, they're winning games without Jeff Carter and Evgeny Malkin down the middle. Actually, they're winning games without three of their top four centers. Because Teddy Bluger is out as well. No Malkin, Carter, or Bluger, and they're winning. They're getting fantastic offensive performances. And they've been doing that all season, haven't they? Even without Sidney Crosby, they seem to find a way. I just find myself impressed with them. I find myself watching them in a bit of fascination. Like, okay, I almost watch them in the same way that I watch Penn and Teller. A bit of amusement. Okay, how are they going to pull this one off? And they just seem to do it. I don't know how. It defies logic and explanation other than they just, they've got a decent system. They play to it, and they've got players fit to the system. When you find a guy like Danton Heinen who converts his chances. When was the last time the Penguins had a guy who was $1.1 million who was converting at that level? Blake Como, in what was Como, 2015? Playing alongside Malkin, was that 14, 15? Doesn't really matter. It's been a long time since they've had a bargain find like that who can score. They're getting, I think, fantastic production. Brock McGinn hit 3 posts on Sunday. including one as the first period expired. I mean, it chipped paint off the cage. I find that stuff impressive. I do. I see Brian Rust ribbing Evan Rodrigues in the press conferences. I don't know if you saw the video. I just had my phone pulling up on video, and I see Rust walk in behind me, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be cool. So I just kind of jumped behind him and filmed it. He's ribbing Evan Rodrigues in the press conference. On the ice yesterday, after Rodrigues gets the hat trick, Rust, in fact, is this the picture where he said it? Yeah, this is why Rodrigues is laughing. Rust goes over and goes, "You're my favorite player," which was the same question that Rust asked Rodrigues. And there is that goofy camaraderie that they've got. I think the Penguins are the best playoff team in the Metro Division. I think I will go as far as that. In a 7-game series, I like the Penguins a lot against the Capitals. I don't like the Washington Capitals' depth at all. I just don't. I don't see Daniel Sprong and Connor Sherry beating you in a playoff series. I think the Penguins are bottom 6 matchup. Penguins have it going away against Washington. And I'm not sure I like Washington's defense very much either. With Justin Schultz is having one of his career trajectory remains spotty. He's certainly not the player that fell apart in Edmonton, but he's not the guy who scored 51 points for the Penguins to earn a new contract either. Verhavy, I don't like Washington's defense. Their goaltending is good-ish. It's above average, maybe. Average to above average. I don't think I'd put it any higher than that. So I like the Penguins very much in a 7-game series against the Washington Capitals, especially the Penguins' PK. You shut down Ovechkin on the power play, he's going to go nuts. And the Penguins did that. Brian Boyle, especially in that game down in Capital One Arena, because Boyle is so big, he just kind of backed off the point man just a hair to give him space and a step over to Ovechkin. Shut it down. I like the Penguins against Carolina. Not for the same reasons, though. Carolina is a very deep team. 4 lines can roll them. Enough offense on defense does Carolina have with Tony DeAngelo and Brett Pesce, etc. But where I like the Penguins over Carolina, twofold. I like Tristan Jarry more than Freddie Anderson, although Freddie Anderson's been a pretty good playoff goalie. Although he's always had that one fatal flaw or that one bad game. But anyway, Frederick Anderson, solid playoff goalie. Where I like the Penguins a little better is in terms of grit and toughness. Carolina is 3-3 in playoff series over the last 3 years. They won 2, lost in the first round, and won 1. Boston handled them pretty well in the second round last year. I think it was a 5-game series, was it not? Or is that 20? All the years run together. Either way, Carolina lost in the second round. I think what helped Carolina was the magic. The Penguins are a little tougher, a little grittier than the Hurricanes, with Teravainen and who's on the other side of Aho. Another guy with more assists than goals. A lot more assists than goals. Oh, forgive me. I'm trying to think of who's on the other side of the top line. Regardless, I like Crosby and Gensel better than Aho and Teravainen. I like Malkin better than I do Carolina's centers. Jordan Stahl being a third-line guy, gotta like him a bit. But I just think in a 7-game series, the Penguins would have a few more advantages because they are a little more tougher, a little grittier. In a playoff situation, that would play to them. Now, when it gets to the Atlantic or, an Eastern Conference final, when you roll out Tampa Bay or Florida survives, or if Toronto gets that far, they're going to be just such a juggernaut. I don't think the Penguins would be better than Tampa or Florida in that context. So I'm going to say the Penguins are the best team in the Metro, and we'll leave it at that. By the way, Malkin will have his dip. Evgeny Malkin will absolutely, when he comes back, maybe the first game or two he's going to be sky high, but his timing's going to be off. The team is going to be a little bit off. Don't start throwing the baby out with the bathwater and panicking. I'm just warning you now because I don't want to do a live chat and everyone's like, Malkin sucks. Malkin's lost a step. We'll judge that after about 4 to 6 weeks. Okay, we hit 50 minutes. Last call. Let's see here. Jackson. Sorry, Dan. I'm going back to the Mike Hoffman scenario for a second. Why do you say it won't happen? I see both players as having down years. Habs have nothing to lose at this point. Just curious. Well, let me ask you. Why would the Montreal Canadiens want Jason Zucker? I mean, it makes sense for you because you're trying to improve the Penguins. Why would the Montreal Canadiens want Zucker when they can do a lot of things with Mike Hoffman? They can probably move him for a draft pick. They can move him for a myriad of different players. Why Jason Zucker? That's how I would come at you on that one. Why would Montreal want a guy who has 10 points? Okay. Let's see here. Jay Plan asked me Canes. What about them? I thought I just went through the Carolina Hurricanes, right? Storm surge. I think so. Of course, I've been known to have blackouts and just think I said a bunch of different things that I didn't. I was married. I was told that I didn't say a lot of stuff that I know I said. I looked at the potential UFAs next summer. Mr. Bouchard says, I don't see any good first-pairing D-men capable of replacing Letang in the depth chart. Come on, Eric. I wrote that 2 weeks ago. Come on, man. Give me a little credit. No, when we did that, I think the column was called Last Ride. Eric, you are absolutely correct. If you look at the right-handed defenseman capable of playing top-pairing minutes, there is only one other, and that is John Klingberg. I don't see Dallas letting him go. So in the absence of paying John Klingberg $9 million, yeah, that's about what Seth Jones got. So that's about what John Klingberg would get. Yeah, I mean, in the absence of that, you have to sacrifice a significant trade piece. Let me rephrase that. Trade pieces to get a top pairing right side defenseman. You're just not going to find one, kind of just falling off the tree. And to that end, if Chris Letang wants a 4-year deal, the Penguins are going to realize they have no leverage in that situation. They can draw a hard line in the sand, don't get me wrong. Ron Hextall can be prudent and patient, and he can draw a line in the sand if Letang wants a 4th year, and I don't know that that's the sticking point. It might be a 5th year for all I know. The Penguins might have said okay to 4. Letang wants 5. I don't know. I'm using 4 years as maybe an example. If the two sides can't come together on a contract term and money, Letang doesn't want to go anywhere. I think he is just as married to the Penguins as Evgeny Malkin and Sidney Crosby are. I think sometimes he's more so married to the idea of finishing his career in Pittsburgh. But I have no idea how the Penguins would replace him. I know some people thought John Marino could step forward, and that would be a lot to ask of John Marino. Let's not exaggerate things to just to kind of plug holes. The Penguins would not be a better team next year without Chris Letang. Okay, so Medina says, have a good week. You too, dear. Thanks for stopping by, as always. Hope motherhood is treating you well. Eric and everybody else. Oh, Eric did read my column. See? All right, kids. Always a pleasure. We finally got this crazy, stupid thing to work. And I know. It's actually here. I will show you. This here iPad and the keyboard. There's a little button on the keyboard that resets it back to the home screen. So when this would slide down, it was bumping the home key and resetting the entire studio. So I had to turn the keyboard off. I figured that out on the fly. First thing was I didn't have it because I am wild coyote genius. Have a good week. Enjoy everything, everybody. We will talk soon.